Hello.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
So we'd be starting in a while.
Yeah, I would also want to share the screen. So
Oh, sure, sir.
so you have disabled the screen sharing.
Okay, sir. I'll just permit you. I guess you can share. Is the button disabled for you?
Post disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, sure, sir. I'll just check.
Yeah. So is that visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. So you can inform whenever you are
Sure, sir.
live. I'll
Just another 3-4 minutes, sir, and then students
sure,
will also join in accordingly.
sure.
फिर से
Hello, Dr. Richa.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we should start because on YouTube also many people have joined.
Okay, fine. Right. A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Dr. Richa Agarwal, on behalf of IMS Noida, welcome you in Masterclass on MOOCs. It's our privilege that today we have Dr. S.S. Mantha, Emeritus Professor at VGIT Mumbai, to enlighten us on MOOCs. I would like to welcome Shri Rajiv Kumar Gupta, President, IMS Noida, Dr. Manchu Gupta, Dean Academics, IMS Noida, Mrs. Nirja Anand, HOD, School of Management, all Dean and HODs of various departments, faculty members, and all dear students for this lesson. MOOCs are online course available to anyone with a computer and internet connection. They offer students a way to learn in settings similar to an online class, but are usually structured and can be accessed without paying tuition or committing an academic program. And in this lockdown, as we all know, MOOCs helped the students in a great way. So, to start this session, I would like to invite and introduce Dr. Manju Gupta, ma'am, Dean Academics, IMS Noida, Institute.
Sir, can you
Dr. Manju.
do you want to
Yeah.
share your screen, Dr. Richa? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I'd request you to kindly unshare the screen so that Dr. Richa can share the slides, please, for a while.
Thank you, sir. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Nah. Yeah. Dr. Manju Gupta, ma'am, is Dean Academics at IMS Noida. She has delivered training on various technologies like Java, web applications, Python, Linux, development like CDAC, Nisbet, Eris Infotech, Test Enclave, IMS Noida, RGCMS, Wortman Tires, Nirmal Polymers Delhi, Cognizant, WNS Global, GoDaddy, Trimble Solution India, Synergetic, Synlet, and too many more national and international participants. She is offering performance driven leadership and training experience in the area of IT operations, business creation, team structuring, and management. Build strategic alliance, drive distribution, successfully managing P&L, competitive intelligence, project management skills, process excellence. Handle the courses of Harvard Business School, HVP, SAP, IBM, interaction with IIMA faculty, Micah, an NID professor for innovative teaching practices. Her key expertise areas are business, strategic planning, business analysis, operations and delivery, industry relationship management, team management training and development, strong interpersonal and presentation skills, leadership abilities, persuasive communication. So I would like to invite Dr. Manju Gupta, ma'am, to enlighten us.
Dr. Richa, please continue with sir's profile. Ma'am is out of town, so that network connectivity issues there. She'll be joining in a while. So meanwhile, we can continue with the lecture of Dr. Mantha.
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
About his profile and carry on. Yeah.
Right, ma'am. Now I would like to invite and introduce Dr. S.S. Mantha, sir. Dr. S. May I continue?
Yeah, please do.
Sure. Dr. S.S. Mantha, sir, is an emeritus professor at VJIT Mumbai. Dr. S.S. Mantha is an eminent academician and an able administrator. He was the chairman of All India Counseling for Technical Education starting 5th January 2012 till 4th January 2015. He specializes in robotics, which he taught more than 15 years out of a rich teaching experience of more than 25 years, along with courses in control theory and artificial intelligence. He implemented the first e-governance project, automating the workflows for the Department of Higher and Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra in 1995. He is also a recipient of the 5th National Telecom Award in 2011 for excellence in education through e-governance instituted by CMAI and Star News. He is a member of IET India as part of Engineering Counseling London, for whom he is also an expert accreditor. So I would like to invite you, sir, to enlighten us. So,
Dr. Richa, please unshare your screen so that sir can start with his
Yeah.
presentation.
So is the screen visible?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So first of all, good morning to all of you. And what I'll do is take you through a few aspects of MOOCs and how it will probably impact the future education. So when I say MOOCs post-pandemic, there was MOOCs in some form or the other even before the pandemic started. And we are all privy to using some kind of online education in the past. So extending on that, let's look at what we will learn today. I have a little bit of preamble to what this program is about or what this content is about. The technology and the examinations, which actually becomes a part of the learning management system, and MOOCs is also a kind of learning management system. The long-term changes, the digital content that is available today in the public domain, what exactly is MOOCs, and then what is cloud-based learning, open online courses as they're available. Then all this will need some MOOCs aggregator in the current environment where every institution will not be in a position to invest in the technology, in the IT infrastructure, and so on. So therefore, you will need some kind of MOOCs aggregator. Then what is blended learning? So what is learning management system that we're talking about? Then there is a lot of content that needs to be sourced. The government of India has Swayam, which you must be knowing. So, and there are also private players like Coursera, edX, Udemy, and so on. And you will need editors to put all this together, and therefore you will need content management systems. How do you map essential skills from the employment perspective, and a little bit of where Industry 4.0 goes, and how do we build those certification value-added courses for upskilling and so on? Can it be a part of MOOCs? And finally, the universities of the future, the virtual universities, the next generation labs. And having talked of so much of IT infrastructure and so on, we must also recognize that there is a digital divide and something needs to be done about that as well. And finally, some references of my talk today. So what is the preamble that I have? The pandemic will always change the way we live. And we must be innovative enough to overcome them. Education, like all other businesses, has also been disrupted. There are new innovative ways which are required to reach out to students. And online education is an alternative. There are several other methods. But engineering being an applied science, everything of that cannot be virtual. So we must look at blended learning and what that is. There are other facets of higher education, like hybrid learning. Blended is something that I spoke about. They mix traditional institutional attendance with laboratory and home instructions. And the number of home assignments which you provide add value to the instructional designs. So there is something that happens within the classroom, and there is something that happens online. And the value addition comes with the home assignments and the instructional designs that you make. Now, in the past, we have had a very robust educational system with almost 1,000 universities, 45,000 colleges, and so on. They stood their test of time, but the gross enrollment ratio never went beyond 25. Currently, it's about 25. And this has been disrupted because of the pandemic. And therefore, we have two problems to contend with. We have one, the immediate, and one in the long term. In the immediate, most of the institutions and universities, they have completed at least 80% to 90% of the curriculum, mostly online. And faculty engage students through online lectures. Most of the time, this is one-way traffic, monologues with teachers speaking. And the other end, probably the students listening to that, or they may not be listening to it as well. In the online mode, you keep the speakers muted, you speak the video, you mute the video, and then you do not know whether the other side is attentive at all. Now, they are the problem areas, but there are methods of overcoming all that, and that's what we will see today. The best option was so what was the best option available? The best option probably was to aggregate all the good online content from various MOOCs platforms, like, for example, Swayam, which is a Government of India initiative. We also have edX, we have Coursera, and similar platforms. They are available in both the public and the private domain. A lot of content is available there. What the institution was expected to do was source the content from those platforms and aggregate them into something that is required within the institution curriculum. And the faculty who otherwise would have taught in the classrooms should have ideally handheld or do the handholding for the students who are using the third-party content. Now, Coursera also gave a lot of content free. Some of the other platforms as well, they also did give it free till the end of September. Now, some of the people may have used it, so they may have had some experience of all that content and so on. Some of the faculty may have actually helped the students in understanding that content in a kind of interactive mode. Now, all this content and all those technology features, they must be integrated with the learning management systems, platforms like Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard, or similar, so that the data analytics of students and faculty is available. Data analytics meaning whether the students are attentive, for what time were they attentive, whether they have understood a certain topic, and whether they were there at all, whether they are slow learners, whether they are fast learners, do they need additional material, and so on. Now, all this is possible with a typical learning management platform like Moodle or Canvas or Blackboard or similar. There are many others. Now, the question is, can every one of those 45,000 colleges out there and 1,000 universities afford to invest in the technology and the content? Everything comes at a price. So therefore, if we really look at some kind of MOOCs aggregator where institutions start collaborating and use a single learning management platform collaborated between maybe 20, 30 institutions. Technically, it can collaborate all the institutions and subscribe to the best of the content collectively and make it available on the LMS and thereby bring down the cost that is applicable from the student perspective. So you will need some kind of MOOCs aggregator and you will need to collaborate. Now that's going into the future. There are many concerns regarding examinations and so on, whether they can be online, so on. Why I have brought in examinations here is in the final analysis, it also becomes a part of your LMS. Now, NAC and NBA, they stress a great deal on continuous assessments to evaluate the student outcomes. Now, if that be the case, why not make continuous assessment as the assessment tool from a student outcome perspective? Accreditation is mandatory, therefore every institution must go through it. And your assessment is also continuous, which means you are assessing a student throughout the semester or throughout the year. In addition to that, an objective type online examination that's generated from AI-based question generators like Quillions. There are many third-party applications which allow you to build question generators and distribute to the student community, including the final year students. So you have a part of objective kind of questions and you have a continuous assessment which happens throughout the year. And therefore, the results also can be declared almost instantaneously. Everything from student learning assessment to entry-level candidate assessment can be done online. And with smart classrooms and learning management systems, it's easy for teachers to conduct interactive learning sessions. Question paper formation, online exams, multilingual support, page navigation, time management, everything is possible. Now, when you go to proving authenticity, people have questions like proxy can actually help students in taking examinations and so on. But that need not be a worry. Where a webcam picks up the profile, students appearing for the exams are verified using biometrics, based authentication, and so on. So palm print, hand geometry, iris recognition, and retina, all these are available within as features within the examination systems, and they can be proctored, they need not be proctored, and so on. So the learning landscape is changing. We are increasingly finding that we learn as individuals in airline queues, while we are waiting for the flight to begin. In cafes, watching a new virtual video tutorial, in subways, in buses, and so on. So the learning process itself is changing. There is no real requirement of a classroom to learn. And the pandemic has amply proved that there are certain subjects which can be done online. And there are certain subjects which cannot be done online. And therefore, in future, probably a lot more will be done online, and a part of that will be done in the classrooms. Like every technology that comes in, it stays back, be it a mobile, be it any other internet or any other technology. For example, an automated vehicle and so on. Every technology that has come in, computers, for example, they have all stayed back. Similarly, online education, which has come in where the development cycles have been compressed because of the pandemic, will also stay. And therefore, the teaching learning methodologies will evolve over a period of time now. So they will become short, relevant, contextualized, personalized, and they will be available on mobile devices, making the entire traditional learning system more or less redundant. But having said that, I wouldn't really say that the brick and mortar classrooms will go away. They will stay because they are the best. It's the learning or the knowledge acquiring from a student's perspective is not the only thing that he does when he goes to the campus. The campus connect allows him several other things besides personality building on the campus, which is not possible in an online environment. There are long-term changes that we will see eventually. Blended learning will become a reality. And all those courses will be credited, whether you take them online or offline, in a similar fashion. Probably a 30-70 model will stay in future, 30% online and 70% face-to-face. And continuous assessment will become a part of the assessment methodologies in future. Now here I have some changing trends of educational and the educational digital content. In the context of MOOCs, it's all digital content, and we must understand what these changes are. The content must be interactive, it must be characteristic, it must be mobile based, and it must be global and realistic. For example, audio, video, visual medium, the augmented reality, the virtual reality, devices will be used, and so on. And the changes in digital content also creates an emotional content, emotional connect. Now, There are several considerations for future education, which is digital learning in some way. Easy access through various devices is required. Big data management or the learning analytics is required, because most of the learning is happening offline. I need to understand whether the student is attentive, whether the student learns, whether he gets the outcomes of a certain unit, whether there is interactivity built in, and so on. So big data management becomes a reality. Blended learning is something that will happen. Various digital content sharing and collaboration methodologies will be used. Teacher training is a must, and service quality assurance will also be required in future. What kind of quality does the material have? What kind of quality does the delivery have? And so on. So we come to MOOCs, which is massive open online course, is MOOC. So there may be more than a lack of students in a MOOC environment, and it's available to anyone, anywhere, can register for these courses. So geographical boundaries don't define anything. The online coursework is delivered entirely over the internet. Now that's the main feature of MOOC. All the content is delivered online on the internet. And MOOCs are very similar to most online college courses. In the past, you must have gone through some online courses, and MOOCs is very similar to that. So therefore, this is a massive open online course, and it's a free web-based distance learning program, and which is designed for the participation of large number of geographically dispersed students, which means boundaries don't matter. Anybody can learn from anywhere on the internet. And MOOC was coined in 2008 by Dave Cormier from the University of Prince Edward Island for a course offered by the University of Manitoba. And it's called Connectivism and Connective Knowledge. How do you connect and how do you transfer knowledge? So this, like we've been saying, MOOCs is any online course, and it builds on the engagement of learners who self-organize. This is extremely important because MOOCs does not have a face-to-face connect. So therefore, it has to build on the engagement of learners. The learners must be extremely motivated and self-organized. If the learner is not organized, if the learner is not disciplined, then no learning happens. Maybe that's true for a student in the classroom as well. But in the classroom, there is a kind of interaction between the teacher and the student. And in an online mode, that doesn't happen. So therefore, the learner must be extremely self-organized. And their participation according to learning goals, prior knowledge and skills, common interests, all that becomes very important. Now, what are the advantages? In a typical MOOC environment, there is no tuition fees. But can we really run like that? Most of the colleges will become redundant. As it is, there are difficulties in providing the IT infrastructure and so on. So therefore, it obviously will also cost. Open access, exposing top-level professors at schools that would otherwise be unavailable. You can bring in any professor from any institute, like for example, you can have a lecture from Harvard Business School in your environment through the internet. Open courses. Now there are several courses available which are created. The content is created by the best of the professors and is available to you from the providers like Coursera or Udemy and so on. So all that is possible. And students also can collaborate with their friends, with their peers from the different parts of the world on the LMS. And they can share work, they can criticize, they can receive others' feedback. And there's a lot of interaction that happens online. And some professors have found global sharing of knowledge more appealing. In fact, that it's a very easy way of doing things. No traveling, no spending time in, unnecessary work. A MOOCs program will start at a certain time, end at certain time. And therefore, there's a lot of discipline that is required from an individual's perspective. Human beings are not disciplined in that sense, in an automated sense. So therefore, using MOOCs needs a lot of change from a human perspective. Now, there are some disadvantages as well. Because there is no connect between the teacher and the student, it's an easy way for students to drop out. And they do not provide active feedback due to large number of students. Though this is not the case anymore, with learning management systems, there is AI being used to even provide active feedback, irrespective of how many students you have. And students, of course, they have to be responsible for their own work and so on. And there can be a number of technical problems, the bandwidth, the connectivity problems, the lack of devices, the cost involved, the remote areas, and so on. And there is no real world engagement. It's all on the internet. So how much does a person connect to this? What is the emotional connect? There is a connect when you go to the classroom between the student and the teacher. Now that is absent. So therefore, you just cannot figure out whether the students are actively engaged or they are just there on the other side, but the video is muted, the person is doing something else on the other side, and so on. But having said that, the artificial intelligence today adds meat to the LMS that we are talking about. Now, there are image processing softwares available which can even read the change in the facial expressions, which can read the changes in the eye movements and so on, and then actually estimate whether the student is really engaged or not interested, disinterested, and so on. So all those things are possible now. Having talked something about MOOCs, let's see what is cloud-based learning. It's again online learning or e-learning that's available in the cloud. Even the MOOCs content can be available in the cloud, meaning that resources are stored in a virtual environment, accessed from various forms of web-enabled devices, which means that I don't need a local storing device. I don't need a hard disk, that big a hard disk. I don't need a lot of application software on my system and so on. But I can source all this from a virtual environment, which means the cost comes down again, and which will probably find a lot of favor in times to come because of the digital divides and so on. So what exactly is cloud computing? It's the delivery of computing services. What kind of services? That includes servers. I don't need a server to be there in my institution or my house and so on. So all these services like servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, intelligence, everything is available over the internet, which we term as cloud, to offer faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale, which means personally, I don't own anything, but I get access to everything whenever I need on the internet. That is cloud services. So what are the advantages? Mobile, it's very mobile, decentralized. I don't even know what exists. I don't know where the server is. I don't know where the services are coming to me from, and so on. And just-in-time learning. JIT is a Japanese concept typically used in manufacturing, production, houses. So you provide a service when you need it. So you don't invest in that and keep it idle when not in use. So just in service, learning. So I don't become host to a lot of services, spending a lot of money, but I use those services whenever I need them at a cost. So the cost comes down. So it's very cost effective. And Mark Benioff, you must be knowing, CEO of Salesforce, which is a CRM company. And hello, something has gone wrong. The presentation is not seen. Hello. Yeah. So is that visible? Hello.
Sir, it is visible.
Yeah.
We can see that. Yeah.
So according to him, you have cloud services for companies of all size, which means institutional size also doesn't matter. If you had 30,000 students or 3,000 students, it doesn't make any difference. There is redundancy using the cloud, includes storage of data, information across many different servers. So it's also not that in a virtual environment also you have one server somewhere. It's multiple servers, multiple sources, and so on. So there's a lot of increased collaboration that's possible. Accessibility via mobile computing is possible, and so on. Computing on the fly is done. So you don't need resources at your end, on your mobile, on your PC, but you can outsource all those. You can source all those requirements from a cloud. Now, talking about MOOCs, you have open online courses. There is XMOOCs, which is the most common type of MOOCs organized around a central professor and a core curriculum. You also have CMOOCs, which resembles, C stands for connectivity. It resembles a graduate seminar course for students' discussions to the core of the learning coming from student to student interactions. Depending on how, there are students, there are teachers on the other side, and it depends on how many students, how many teachers, where are they connecting with each other. So depending on that, there are different terminologies like XMOOC, CMOOC, DOCC, which is distributed online collaborative courses, in which same core course material is distributed to students at multiple institutions. And MOOCs is big open online course similar to MOOCs, but limited to smaller number of students, typically 50. So I don't have large numbers to attend to, but I typically have 50 students or less. You also have synchronous massive online courses where the lectures are broadcast live, requiring students to log in at specific times in order to hear the lectures. Most of the institutions must have used SMOOC in terms of the pandemic. SPOC is small private online courses similar to books, but the students-teacher interactions are more closely modeled over traditional classroom. So you create a traditional classroom environment with less number of students and so on. And you also have MOOCs, which is nano open online courses meant to empower learners to learn on the essentials of one competency, skill, or knowledge at a time within 20 learning hours or less. Now, the research says that about 17 to 18 minutes is the attention time that you can have of a student in an asynchronous mode of learning, which means online learning. So therefore, the content also must be created in that fashion. So you have 15 hours, small module learning, learning modules that are created, which are just about half an hour with 20 learning hours. Then you will start having a question answer session, which is interactive, and so on. So all that constitutes MOOCs. Then you have MOOCs aggregator in the value network. So there are regulations on one side, there are universities on the other side, or institutions on the other side. There are advertisers and sponsors on the other side, on the third side, and so on. So a MOOCs aggregator creates one single learning management platform, aggregates all the content over a cloud, and makes it available to multiple universities as though so you create multiple instances or white labeling on the LMS that you have. And therefore, every university thinks that it has the entire network available to itself. But in effect, it has an instance, and the backend is the same for most of the universities. Now, which actually means that you are collaborating on this. And the advantage is that the pricing, the cost of the program comes down. The cost subscription fee per student comes down, because now the sharing is between many more students, like 30,000 students, 50,000 students, or a lakh of students in a subscription model. And if you have a subscription model, let's say for maybe 2,000 students. So that's the difference that will be available to you. So why should we have online or blended learning? Blended learning, like I said, applied sciences cannot be completely virtual. So therefore, in future, you will have blended learning where the hands-on experience will be available to people. So they blur the lines around what we consider a college, easy to get high quality material, good online content. But a decision will be required in terms of transparency, efficiency, effectiveness, responsiveness, agile, innovative, and so on. These are the attributes. But in order to have a use of these attributes, you need a focused decision making. There are several models of blended learning. In the main, you have a rotation model, you have a flex model, a la carte model, enriched virtual model. And even within the rotation model, you have station rotation, lab rotation, flipped classroom, individual rotation, and so on. I'm not going into details of all this. It depends on different environments that you have. When should you have a flex model, and when should you have an a la carte model? It depends on how many students you have, what kind of courses you have, what kind of networking you want to create, whether you want to use the social media built seamlessly into your teaching learning model, and so on. So these are the different blended learning models that we have. Anyway, whatever be the mode, the future must be collaboration, and which also is required because there's a rise of real world learning. Learning must become fun, and there must be engaged learning, and digital learning must go out of LMS so it can be accessed with ease. And the devices that you have, augmented reality, virtual reality devices, the head-mounted devices, and so on, they create some kind of emotional connect that is possible. And the learning must be designed like a game, like a video game that you play. Your content must be designed on that strategy. And therefore you give some postulation, you tell them some rule, and then you ask them to play it like a game, so that in that process they start learning. And in fact, if you go back in time, there was Panchatantra, where short stories were taught to children, and that is the strategy that we must be going back. Or the gamification is basically an adaptation of that. Now, as far as learning management systems are concerned, this is very, very important. And learning, is the delivery. Management is because there are so much of content, so many students, so you need and there are so many faculty, so you need management of that. And all this provided on an e-platform for delivery. So together it becomes a learning management system. There are many available in the public domain: Talent, MS, Moodle, iSpring, Edmodo. These are all, learning management systems that are available, and you can purchase, or what a Moodle is a open source, so you can customize that. Canvas is a very good learning management system available, but they are all they have to be purchased. Now, Talent MS has a rating of 4 out of 5, is a cloud-hosted open API, and you can see the number of users. Similarly, Moodle, you have Edmodo, Blackboard. Blackboard is another very popular LMS, is a cloud-hosted service, and so on. So, Swayam, like I said, edX, Coursera, Khan Academy, Udemy, Canvas, FutureLearn, Udacity, Open Education Europa, they all provide you LMS services along with content. Now, you need a very flexible, powerful editor. For what you see is what you get. So this online content business must be properly designed, because it's like what you see is what you get. If you see something bad, something that is not effective, then that is what you get. Because you don't have a synchronous mode of learning, you don't have the teacher and student together, you must make what you see very, very comfortable. So that's the challenge that you have. And therefore, content management systems like HubSpot, Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, they're all very, very useful. In the long term, the entire education system will need to transform into facilitating student-centric paradigms. Today, we have faculty-centric paradigms. The faculty decides what to teach, and the faculty decides what is the curriculum, and so on. So this will change to student-centric paradigms, and all the stakeholders will need to retrofit their expectations to the new realities. But the transition from classroom teachers to guides to course mentors is not easy. Today we have classroom teachers. They must become guides. They should handhold. And in future, with online content, they actually have to become course monitors and nothing more. And it does not work if the education supply chain is not in sync with the market requirements. So the employment becomes extremely important, and that actually has to drive the systems. There are several future work drivers. There is connectivity, modularization, remote work, economy of individuals. All these things are actually planned into an LMS and the MOOC content that is designed. So most of these things are the future of work, and therefore whatever we do today, our learning systems, our content, the learning management systems, the certification courses available under MOOCs, they all must address the problems that you see in this slide. The next is, there are several soft skills required: complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, cognitive abilities is extremely important, cognitive flexibility. We must create students who can fit into different environments, because the environment is changing very, very fast. The jobs that we have today may not be available 3 years from now. And the content that we are studying today may not be useful for a job that we may get into 3-4 years from now. So therefore, cognitive flexibility is extremely important. Now, this is an essential skills map that I have done for every vertical, like engineering or data science or product or finance, marketing, managers. There are 3 things that are required. For example, business skills, tech skills, and data skills. These are a must in whichever job, in whichever vertical you go. For example, since you are all management students, let's look at marketing. And marketing as a vertical, I need business skills like digital marketing, digital strategy, social media. Under marketing, I also need technical skills, content strategy, web analytics, and SEO. And I also need data skills. And they will be big data, marketing analytics, and SQL. So this slide will actually tell you what kind of skills are mapped and what is the backend value addition that you must create in terms of choosing courses under MOOCs or any other platform that you have. Future jobs, there is a care economy which will grow. There is a green tech which is finding it difficult, and there are a lot of jobs in data and AI, cloud computing, sales, marketing, product development, and so on. The low-skilled jobs are the hardest hit by COVID-19. All that you see in red is something that is extremely stressed. And therefore, the future is all in professional, scientific, technical skills, management skills, information, education, finance, insurance. They are the skills that are required in future. So you all know the world is changing very fast. This is a 2020 internet minute. What all we do, almost 2 lakh people are tweeting every single minute, internet minute. 1.1 million dollars spent online and so on. So this is the digital around the world in 2019. So many, for example, you had, total population, and the urbanization is 56% of that. However, the active social media users are 45% of that, and so on. So these are some pointers to what actually will happen in future. This is something very, very simply put. On one side, there are a lot of devices which can be connected, electronic devices, for example, cameras, your pen drives, your laptops, your mobiles. They are all devices, and they are connected as Internet of Things on one side. And on the other side, you have product innovation, process innovation, autonomous agents, digital networking, and the space in between is labor 4.0. So you need skills to drive digitized services. You need skills to operate machines which speak to machines. You need smart products, smart factory. So the content that you must get at for your upskilling, value added courses is what forms in this labor 4.0 chain. So there are several roles of emerging technology. You have artificial intelligence, you have augmented reality, IoT, and so on. Personalized learning is something that will be the future, which means as a student, I should be able to select what I want. What I have shown you as the skills required, or as the IoT slide the industry 4.0 slide that I've shown you, they are the skills that you require. And therefore, if you go on to MOOCs or a content management platform, you must look at these courses which make sense to you in your business, in your future work, for your employability skills. And all that put together becomes personalized learning. And you must be able to learn that at your pace and give exams at your pace, and so on. So all this put together we come to a concept called universities of the future. So the business models will change, the cooperative structures, the interdisciplinary nature of learning, the new concepts of for faculties or departments. No longer you will have those silos of a marketing department or a finance department and HR department and things like that. All of them will coalesce into cooperative structures. There'll be new role for examination houses, new teaching concepts, massive versus personalized learning, and so on. So finally, all this will metamorphose into a virtual university. So what does that mean? Anybody from anywhere can learn together. All the technology that I've spoken about till now put together will give you something called as a virtual university. Therefore, the everybody has a role in a virtual university: students, entrepreneurs, technology leaders, creators of platforms. Everyone has a place in a virtual university. Going forward, you will need next generation labs to make sense. It's not the age-old traditional things that you will be doing. You will need access to code labs, pop-up studios, cloud innovation, gaming garages, market space. So any institution which starts investing in these kind of initiatives will make sense in future. Otherwise, they'll probably relegated to also ran. So what is the future? You will have full-fledged online programs leading to certificate, diplomas, degrees, and so on. Intelligent mix and match of online modules aligned to value-added courses for upskilling, reskilling, and so on. Targeted specialized courses will be created. Customer-built certification courses will be there. Blended learning, complete online assessment, and quality assurance is something that we will have. Digital divide is something that I have spoken about. It has to be addressed. There are places where internet connectivity is not there. There are people without smart devices, and therefore we must make an attempt to address all that. So the teachers must be empowered in that space. And therefore, all that put together is the online education and the future of learning. So I have tried to put together a few things, and maybe there are, of course, there are a lot of things that can be expanded upon, and I suppose you will be doing that. These are the references that I've used for my presentation, and this is a place where you can contact me. And therefore, I stop here, stop sharing, and return back the control to your institution. Thank you. Thank you. Your speaker is muted. You'll have to unmute your speaker.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with such a special information. Our student and faculty member will get definitely benefited by this. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Nirja Anand ma'am, HOD, School of Management, to give vote of thanks.
Well, thank you, Dr. Richa. I'll take this opportunity to thank Dr. S.S. Mantha for sparing his valuable time and speaking on a very relevant topic, because MOOCs are something which have been really catching up quite fast. And during the pandemic also, we have seen that not many institutions have offered these courses for free. I'm sorry, sir, some connectivity related issues. So I'll take this opportunity to once again thank you, Dr. Mantha, for your valuable time speaking on a very relevant topic. So MOOCs, like we said, many institutions are offering these courses. The students across the world, they benefit out of it. And like the topic which we spoke about, whether it would be related the question remains, sir, that whether these MOOCs would be a good replacement for traditional courses. That is something which really needs to be seen in future. Because although there are many universities which are offering these online degree programs, MBA programs they are offering, but we still have to see what kind of recognition these courses are going to get. So, but yes, future, as you just showed in your slides, that the future looks quite promising, and we might have a lot of virtual universities. But sir, that also pops up one question. Are the institutions going to see the downfall in student enrollment in the near future because of these open courses? So,
In the short run, maybe there will be a difference, but I don't think that will happen as a rule. The student enrollments in the brick and mortar institutions will certainly be there. I don't think there is any real concern on that. But the teaching learning process will undergo a change with some amount of blended learning happening for real. Uh, as far as the uh, the effectiveness and of the programs are concerned, there is no replacement for a good teacher. Now, having said that, the best teaching probably will still happen in a classroom where you have a teacher, student interacting with each other. And the best learning will happen on a campus because, like I said, learning is not only trying to understand a certain coursework. There is a lot of other learning that happens on a campus. So when you go to college, you interact with with your friends, with your faculty, with your elders, and so on. So there is a kind of conflict resolution that happens on the campus. There is a kind of understanding different cultures, different people that takes place on the campus, and all that is a part of learning. It's not just learning the basics of, let's say, some HR or marketing practice or something like that. So therefore, a campus one cannot replace. The brick and mortar institutions will always be there, and they'll continue to be there. But probably it's time to relook at the kind of teaching learning paradigms that we are using within those institutions. And the cost has been going up prohibitively within the institutions that we have today. That's probably because we have to spend for the salaries of the faculty, the providing the infrastructure, providing the other benefits that are required. And I'm not making a case that should not be done. That will have to be done. But having said that, probably the mode of teaching learning can be made more effective if you have a good learning management system, which can give you which can aid you in student analytics, finding out who is good, who is bad, or who is lacking on a certain topic, and generally seeing that the students are better off in terms of learning. So technology must be used to enhance the teaching learning quality rather than replace the entire system and go over to something else. That should not happen, and I don't think it will happen.
sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering that query. And I'm sure the student must have gained a lot of insight, and I'm sure the enrollment might also go up after listening to your lecture and after listening to your session. So thank you once again, sir. And it
Thank
was
you.
a pleasure having you and speaking on a very relevant topic.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. Students, I have shared the attendance link in the chat box. You can mark your attendance there. So with this, I'll end the meeting, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. The students who are in the group chat box, there is a link. You can mark your attendance. I'll paste the link again. Okay, those who have not filled, they can fill in and mark their attendance. So I'll take 5 minutes and then I'll end the meeting.